What's up, everybody? This is your boy DC. We back again on Power Moves, and we have a great show today. I got my main man Bruce, Mr. Langford. We go way back. When I say way back, I believe we was the first one to put, Mickey on his first pair of shoes. That's how far we go back. But we gonna talk about some great things, and we're gonna talk about production because I know you guys see us do a lot of stuff, and you guys really don't see the process how we get to what you guys actually see on television, for theater, or even at the movies. But Bruce and I, we gonna go in depth and try to get you guys to understand what it takes to really put production together. Then also too, we're gonna talk about some great power moves that he's making as well. So we're gonna get into the program. We're gonna talk to Mr. Bruce Lankford. Here we go. Welcome everybody. I got my main man Bruce. What's going on, Bruce?
What's going on, DC? Just happy to be in the building, brother. Happy to be here.
Hey man, it's always good to be on the other side of the dirt. You feel me?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. It's definitely better to be alive than the other.
True. So man, let's get into the meat of this thing, man. Why don't you introduce yourself? Let everybody know who you are and where you're from, what's your background, and all that good stuff. All right, go ahead.
Absolutely. So, as DC said, I'm Bruce Lankford. I'm born and raised in the ATL. I've lived some of everywhere from Orlando to LA, Dallas, Chicago, New York. And with that, each time I've been pursuing a different opportunity in the world of either live events and media, or some form of branding and TV, entertainment, you name it, I've done it. So yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell. I'm happy to have had the honor of meeting you. In fact, in my first career choice, which was, or I should say my second career choice, which was in audio visual.
Yes.
We started out with me rapping cable.
Yeah. Hey, that's the first thing in AV. You got to learn how to wrap cables. 'Cause if you don't know how to wrap cables, get out the game.
Can't do anything else. Nothing else is happening.
No, everything else is secondary. You know what I'm saying? Everything is secondary. Man, let's talk about those days, how we got into the audiovisual game, and how audiovisual still works with what you're doing today.
Absolutely. For me, I came into audiovisual. I'd come off of strangely making films in the role of doing makeup. I know it's strange, but I was doing special effects makeup with another team there in Orlando, Florida. And I wanted to know, hey, what's everyone doing where you're not, making student films and short films and guerrilla films, filmmaking, that sort of thing. And they were doing audio visual. And I remember when someone mentioned it to me, I didn't even know what it was. I said, what's that? And I ended up showing up at a hotel and seeing kind of what I would call this magical moment where some company had come in and built a shell of what looked like the outside of a Shoney's building inside a hotel ballroom, had these massive screens on the side. There was lighting, there was audio. I didn't really know what I was looking at. But I knew it was something that I was really interested in because we were doing some idea of the same concept of creating films. We were creating this moment, these magical moments, but in a live setting. And so
Right.
I just knew it was something I wanted to learn more about.
Yeah, I know because the technology they had back then is definitely not the technology that we got right now.
Not even close.
Yeah, because I remember the 3 guns.
Yeah.
We had to sit there and try to match all red, green, and blue and make them white.
Oh yeah. I think you got to clarify what a 3-gun is. 3-gun projector is.
Yes.
Kids don't even know what that means. They're like 3 guns. What are they talking
They
about?
probably like boom, 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 boom. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, no, man. That's right. Back then, like now we have these large projectors, even small projectors that are really bright. And it's just one stream of light that comes out. It's much easier. You got software to set it up for you, all kinds of stuff. We used to have to do that stuff manually, with a little tweaker, normally in the dark.
Yeah. I mean, a room completely dark.
Yeah.
So it's not like how we can have the lights up now and and map everything out. I mean, the room had to be completely dark. You had to have the little flashlight on your head, so you can actually see in front of you, because
It's true.
that's how dark the room was.
That's
But
right. That's right.
but moving from that aspect of the business, how did that teach you, um, to where you're at now?
Well, let me talk about a little bit kind of where I am now, because it was an interesting journey. I started in the audiovisual world as just like baseline technician. You couldn't get any lower than where I started from. I want to say I was making $8 an hour, if that. And like I mentioned before, it literally came in wrapping cable, pushing cases, and getting to understand audio-visual equipment and gear. And everything I knew about audiovisual, it was kind of that nerd speech almost, like, okay, the AV club at school, that sort of thing. But we were really dealing in a higher end
Right.
version of that. And I could believe that, with the people I was around, I was entrusted with working with, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment,
Correct.
at a time. But what it really taught me, I think, was number one, that I could go anywhere I wanted to with this new craft I was learning, depending on how much I wanted to put into it. So just like any
Right.
other industry, you can go as far as you want to if you're willing to put in the time and the effort, as well as build relationships, which was key for me, because that moment of being a technician took me from that baseline piece all the way up to instead being in the management role. Still even with the same company initially, we call them directors of AV or directors of operations. So I went from that technical role to then kind of a management role, and my career just kind of could take off from there.
Right. Right. That's right. But let's talk about how different projects and different clientele came through the hotel facility. How we had to put their concept together to make their meeting what it was.
Absolutely. That's probably the part that most people don't see. When most folks see what we do, it's all kind of done. The concept has been fully fleshed out. They walk into a room, the lights are set at a certain level, that's nominal for them to intro the space. And there's some music playing. There's something on the screen that speaks to whatever the type of event is, or that kind of thing. But to get there, there's been all this conversation with whoever that lead client is. That normal client for us is probably a mix of people. It's probably a meeting planner, as well as someone from a marketing or communications department who talks to us about what the messaging is they're trying to get across their team, what the overall goals are. And most time clients, they don't know the type of equipment they need. They know the
Right.
type of experience they want to present, right?
Right. Right.
you
Right.
know so, so we're there to help kind of guide them through the process of, if this is the kind of experience you want, let me give you some options of what we can do to present the message and give them the best moment possible. So that's both in a visual presentation, from a visual and presentation standpoint, to lighting, and how big is the stage, how many people are on the stage, what kind of
Right.
music is playing. All those kind of things come into play. And even there's a lot of times these days where we get into even script writing and helping them make their message a bit more concise, and put it more visual, so that way you don't lose the audience going from point to point.
So that's the new way now.
Yeah,
We
that's
we
the
are
way.
we are helping them to bring their vision up, up in front. But when we actually go into these facilities, hotels, and all that stuff, it's not just audio visual. It's the whole entire hotel, because all of us has different parts. You know what I'm saying? So we can't come in and set a room up when there's a room already been set up from another meeting. That particular
That's the
hotel,
truth.
yeah, that hotel has to come in and make sure everything is clear, so we can, come in and map out the staging, map out where we're going to hang the speakers, the projectors, the throw distance, you name it, all of that. So to say all
It's
of that,
true.
yeah, to say all of that, explain to them how it's very important that we have what we call a pre-con, before the meeting.
Yeah, I mean, so a couple of things. I think the first part of that is just when you engage whomever you choose as your service provider, who's going to help you in putting together your event, you really are talking about a production partner, and I say that not to the sense that they're we as partners are helping to elevate your message. So it's not like we're just hired help. Here, we're going to bring a piece of equipment in, set it down, and leave. We're actually there to make sure that your vision is executed from start to finish. So it's really important, number one, that you engage us early. That way we can have conversations with the venue, if it's a hotel, if it's a theater, whatever it is, ahead of time, and they get to know who we are and we get to know them, and understand, we can both kind of understand each other's normal process. And then as a team, both ourselves, the venue, the client, and any other vendors, we come together as a team to say, okay, what's the best way to execute this particular project in a timely manner? So all those things happen kind of in this pre-production phase. And then as we move into the production phase, we get to a place where, okay, we know we're coming on site here, rather soon, the next couple of weeks, whatever. We decide, okay, we're all coming to this particular pre-con or pre-convention meeting ahead of schedule, to make sure that all the departments in the hotel know who all of our key figures and leads are, and they can see the partnership between us and our main client, as well as any other vendors that are a part of the experience. And the good thing there is that that's the time to really iron out any last minute details that may have been missed, and make sure that no one's stepping on each other's toes, but we're there to work with the venue, and make sure that it's a great program for them too, because we want a great relationship with them, because we probably are going to be coming back in that venue.
Oh yeah, you're going to be coming back.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's always great to play fair with those venues, because whenever I go inside of a venue, I always tell them, I say, just because you didn't win the bid to bring, to be their AV provider, that doesn't mean that you still can't get a piece of the pie. Because there's going to be some things that we may need that we probably forgot to bring, and I know you have it in house. So to order to do that, they just play together. Let's play fair. So then that way we have a successful meeting. You eat, I eat, and the client is happy. But
Absolutely.
But sometimes, Bruce, that doesn't work, all the time. You know what I'm saying? So the experience that you learned from AV, how did that help you in your next phase when you transition from doing production work, audiovisual production work for corporate world, to audiovisual work for a big known pastor, a bishop all over the world, and you was a part of his audiovisual team? What was the transition between corporate and church?
Yeah, great question. So that whole transition is funny to begin with. What happened is, I had been working doing corporate AV, but yet during that time frame, there was a large company coming in and doing a more of an entertainment based event in the venue that I was assigned. And during that time, I, number one, realized how much I enjoyed that side of the business, more than corporate, just because it was something new and fresh for me. And that particular production company, that team, they also happened to do work. They were the hired company and team that worked for this very well-known ministry in the world. And they, first of all, the first thing, they wanted me to work with them on the entertainment side, and then they laid, 6 months or so later, they said, hey, would you be interested in perhaps working with some of the team full time? This is what most of us actually do normally, and would you want to come work with us in this large ministry full time as the production manager?
Right.
I would say the corporate audiovisual role prepared me like this. In corporate AV, you're taught to uphold a certain level of professionalism. Comparatively, when you get into entertainment and ministry, they're actually very close. They're similar in how they operate, and that a lot of things are a lot more last minute. You already know this. Things are very last minute.
Yeah.
They're not put together quite as tightly as you'd like. But so what I was able to do is I was able to come in and bring kind of that corporate standard that was missing. Now, here's the thing: they operate at a different level of I guess, finance and optics. The world is looking at a lot of what you do, So they had money to throw. It was just them knowing how to get, to where they were trying to go. Like, there was just no standard. It was just, hey, throw money at it.
Yeah.
So initially my role was just as production manager for this large ministry. But because of my experience in corporate, where I had been dealing so much with all these various event planners, event managers, and even hotel staff in those roles as well, convention meeting planners, etc., I ended up actually going into the role of the ministry's event manager and event director. Quite a jump up from just the audiovisual side of things. I was prepared because I was used to hotel contracts. I'd seen them 1,000 times in various meetings. I was used to talking to these folks. They were my peers and my colleagues when it came to directors of convention services, different people at the convention and visitors bureaus. I was already kind of in this league in my own mind. So the transition was easy for me. I was able to jump right in. And at that, I was able to help save the ministry a lot of money and just take it to the next level in what they were doing. So, I mean, if it wasn't for that corporate AV experience, where in some regards, even the companies that we're familiar with, DC, I mean, we had to make it happen, as you know, sometimes with just some gaff tape, so to speak, and a lot of ideas. But if it wasn't for those experiences, I wouldn't have been able to succeed so well in the next phase of my career.
Yes, I mean, you definitely took a lot of your corporate experience to the mega church, because we all know church now is I'm not going to say that it's not getting away from church, but church is a business.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Church is a business, but if you don't have the right people and the right staff to run the business, that part of the business of the church is going to not succeed. And I do believe that you were sent to that mega church to really show them how corporate America work, and how you can structure their production, team to run a certain way. And I'm quite sure now that you're not there, you best believe they still using your methods. You know what I'm saying? Because I know you, bro. I know you. I know you. I know once you have your mindset and how you know how certain things supposed to run, you're going to make sure everybody else know it as well. Because
right, I appreciate that. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I tell everybody this, man. I said, never be the only one on your team that knows what you know. Always have one or two, people on your team know what you know, because anything can happen. You can miss your flight, family emergency, God knows what else can happen, and you're the only one with all the information. That can't work. So you always have to have two more people to really kind of like take the reins in case something else happened to you. Or while you're on production, you can do something else, and those other two people can carry on what you already know they're going to do. So it's going to free you up. It's going to free you up to really kind of like, bring new ideas, make sure the client is okay, make sure the ministry is good, make sure everything flow the way it needs to flow.
Yeah, you know what? So I just got to stop real quick and tell you, it's funny you mentioned that, because I think it's really key. For event organizers, there's something I did that I think others should do, and it's not because I learned it, because I didn't make it, myself. I actually learned it from someone else.
Right.
And that is specifically what you're saying. I created a process, and I was calling it the hit by the bus process. And what that means is, if I got hit by a process, it meant that there was always someone in line who knew exactly what to do. And it wasn't just my number two. In fact, specifically what I did, I would take my team. So I had a core team at this particular organization of 7 people who worked under me. I had indirectly a team of about 300 that worked under me. Now, of those leaders, of those 300, they all had, of course, a department lead. And we would all gather. I would gather them for every event. We would gather every 2 weeks, leading up to the event. So we probably would meet, a total of somewhere between 40 and 50 times, because we're talking about massive events, starting at 10,000 and going up to 300,000 or 400,000 per people per event. So it's a lot of work. So for me, it was imperative that every single person knew not only my role and the things that I needed to do, but they also needed to know their other team members' roles. So we would walk through, and I would actually walk through the entirety of the event from beginning to end, even as we were building it. and we would say every single meeting, here's the beginning, here's the timeline for pre-marketing, and then actually the show itself, of what happens when the doors open, in the building, to the time that we actually exit and the last trucks load out. And that way, everyone knew what was going on. And the way I would verify that is I would actually call on various team members each week to run that portion of the meeting. So it might be Lehman from warehousing and say, hey, Lehman, okay, man, it's your turn. Tell me what happens and tell me who leads and where we go on from the start from this point forward. And he'd have to give the whole play-by-play from parking, logistics, VIP entry, transportation, the whole nine. And they did a great job. But because of it, what actually ended up happening was, most times back in the past, before I got there, when they were, working 15, 16 hours every day, 20 hours a day, just really, how those hours run.
Yeah.
Ended up being, most of the team ended up putting in 8 to 10 hours a day and actually having free time because everyone knew where every other team member was supposed to be, and they were there. So it's really there were a lot of wins because of that scenario. Really planning for the worst gave us the best possible outcome.
Yeah, and see, and that's what I like about you. Because you detail. You know what I mean? You detail. You're gonna look at it and you're gonna make sure. First of all, you're gonna find clauses. You're gonna find all the mistakes, and then once you find all the mistakes, then we're gonna start correcting them. So that's one thing I know I did learn from you when we was doing AV.
Thank you.
That you're very detailed and that you're on your game. So so after moving from the ministry type situation, I know before you did the ministry, you was also, I don't want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, you was co-producing or you were producing the Tom Joyner show on the ship. So
that's right.
So what was that experience like?
Well, depends on all who's watching. No.
Yeah.
I tell you, so excuse me, I was operating as one of the actually as associate producer. I would love to take credit as producer or co-producer, but I was operating as associate producer, and what that means is I was producing the main stage of the ship. Now, that's the pool deck stage, which is where all the main acts would come. And we'd start off as early as, right when the ship departs, and we'd be the final thing that happened when we were finishing up. So there were 7 other stages, though, keep in mind, so there was a lot going on, a lot of entertainment at all times. And I think the best thing that I can say about that experience for me that I learned was just being flexible. When it comes to entertainment, you never know what's going to happen. From a talent standpoint, from a venue standpoint, we're on a ship, and it could be storming, it could be windy, it could be any number of things. Or this particular type of cruise, there just may be some people getting freaky in areas they shouldn't be getting freaky in. I'm being real. So, you're there to make sure that the majority of people have the experience they pay for and a really, great time with these artists. And I mean, for me, it was great. I got to work with some top artists, everyone from in the hip hop world, from Ice Cube and LL Cool J to greats like Earth, Wind and Fire, and John Legend, and the list goes on and on. I mean, I worked with, hundreds of wonderful, amazing entertainers, and getting to know them and their process and understanding, their needs and being empathetic, for what they needed, their managers needed, the promotions company needed. And that's the thing you really learn in those positions is you have all of these stakeholders that have individual needs and goals that are really not only business-oriented, business-wise good to them, but also personally good, because there may be bonuses there may be additional events later on for them. And so you're trying to appease everyone from a scheduling standpoint, all that, and you can't always do that. So you learn to flex and you learn to negotiate, and and things might get a little strange because you're managing everything from top down. So you might be managing, a budget and scheduling advertising on one side and talking about bathrooms, and cleaning up afterwards on the next phone call. It just depends. So it's just all about being flexible, listening really, really carefully, taking a lot of good notes. And then also always looking to put your touch on things. For me, my touch has always been what I consider my standard of the excellence. I like everything to run really smoothly and people to have a great great experience with me. Something they say that only I can provide. Trust me when I
Yeah,
say that
yeah,
there are hundreds
yeah,
of others who can provide the same experience. But that's your sell to folks.
yeah, yeah. Man, it just sounded like it was a lot of fun, but sometimes when you having fun like that, it doesn't seem like work. It's just like
Oh
you're
yeah,
you're in the you hey, you're in the moment. You know what you're doing. God called you for this time, so
yeah,
every every aspect of that job you're gonna shine because this is what you live for. You know what I mean? So you wake up going to a dream job that you can actually meet new people, have a great time, and also to help other people experience their greatness. You know,
absolutely.
to me, I couldn't even ask for a better job. That job that sound like it was, especially you on the water. You
Oh
ain't
yeah, man.
no telling where you're going. You know what I mean? So my next question is to you is what is your next power move?
mm, great question. Well, my next power move going forward, I have a few things that I'm doing. Number one, I'm in transition, so I'm still doing events in a big way, producing them and producing a lot of media that goes along with that. But it's not as much of a passion as it used to be for me. So lately, I've been actually in the training game. So I've been training and mentoring others who want to do what I do and what I've done, and trying to just teach them not only the skill set of the simple skills, the soft skills, but even some of the hard skills that go along with it. There are a lot of simple courses that people can take online to understand some of what we do, and then just depending on which direction you want to go, I can kind of help folks get there. And so I've been doing a little bit of training and mentoring. At the same time, there are some community efforts that I like to support. Anytime we're talking about helping to rebuild community, rebuild churches, a lot of that's my passion. So some of my event work that I'm doing, while I'm not doing it for free, I ended up dedicating a portion of my time at low to no cost, and then I'll get paid for the rest of it. But all that effort to help kind of rebuild from where we were with the pandemic a couple of years ago. For me, churches are a really big deal just because of kind of how they are, that they were, kind of the center focus of the community. And I'm trying to get churches back to a place where they can actually help strengthen the community and not just be a
Yeah,
place people go on Sunday mornings.
right.
And so it's a big effort that I'm putting forward in the South Carolina region, now stretching out to the North Carolina region. So that's one big part of what I'm doing. The other thing that I'm doing is I'm looking at other forms of media that I've kind of let go for the past few years, which is in TV and filmmaking. And I'm excited about that as well. I've got a project I've been working on called The Judas Kiss. You'll certainly hear more about that if you follow me on social media, etc. But yeah, so that's my big power move right now is really teaching and training others and pushing my own project, which is the Judas Kiss, and my passion for both community, people, and churches.
Man, that sounds like a lot, bro. I just
Oh
want to
yeah.
say I take my hats off to you. If I can find my mouse, here we go. I take my hat off to you, man. That what God has been doing in your life and what He's going to continue doing in your life. My word of encouragement to you is, man, keep going, keep pushing. Always keep God first, which I know you do, and just take in the moment because sometimes we work so much and we just don't enjoy the moment. So let's just take in the moment and then just surround ourselves with not like-minded people. Because if I surround myself with like-minded people, that we all just gonna be thinking the same. I want to surround myself around somebody who don't think like me, so I can learn from them and they can learn from me. To me, I call that growth. I don't know what anybody else call it, but that's what I call it. So
I couldn't
I
agree more.
I just want to say thank you, man, for taking the time out to be on Power Moves to share your experience, what you've been doing from start to finish, and what you're gonna do moving forward. So, is there any social media you want to shout out, to the people so they can reach out to you?
Absolutely. So, a couple of things. First, I want to say thank you to you for allowing me the opportunity to come on and just kind of share a little bit about my history and where I've been and what I've done. I also want to give you a big plug because I've watched you in your own growth, and everyone should
Appreciate
know
it.
that You've done a lot. Business owner. You've owned at least 2 to 3 businesses that I'm aware of, and they've all been successful, all part of your growth. So I watch you for inspiration just the same way, and as much as you watch me. So thank you for being obedient, in everything that you've been doing. So
Appreciate it.
absolutely, absolutely. My IG is where you'll find me most active. You can find me at Bruce ATL. I rep my city well. That's Bruce ATL, and that'll lead you to everything else that I'm doing.
All right, cool. All right, any last minute words you want to share with anybody before we wrap this thing up?
Absolutely. It's 2023, and it's a great time to look at making your power moves right now. Don't worry about step 2. Just get step 1 started, and before you know it, you'll be making power moves like all of us.
All right, you guys heard it here first. This is my boy Bruce, Mr. Langford, right out of ATL, doing major things. So, hey, this is not the first and this is not the last. So we're going to bring him back because there's more other stuff that we need to cover. All right?
Absolutely.
So,
I got it.
Peace
I
out,
appreciate
bro.
it, brother.
All right, love you.
Y'all have a good one. Love you.